come from a place that Maggie was saying, how do we help each other with building up our self-worth and kindness, and stop with the constant, well, we're this, because we are talking bad about ourselves.
But this is the thing. Black women want this soft tone, but we don't give what we want to receive.
She wants to be talked to softly, women to be talked to, I'm like, no, honey, we are a mess right now. There is no soft talking. There's only tough love at this point. Melanie King. Melanie King is a YouTuber, but we'll hear her out on this. I actually saw her on the same clip on Brandon Tatum, but I didn't see the extended part of it. So I'm just going to watch it and let's see.
I will say, across the board, Black women are the lowest in terms of dating and marrying. In fact, actually, Black women are high in dating because we give up sex the most. We're for the streets. We're twerking. We're doing the most. We dominate rap in the culture that is very sexual, especially in the U.S. So a lot of men see us as easy targets to have sex with. And we have the highest rate of having children outside of marriage, wedlock. And so men see us as bedwenches, easy to have sex with, but they don't see us as valuable wives. Our culture, especially in the U.S., I don't know how it is in the U.K. I know it's a little different, but our family structure is so broken and so destroyed that we really, the majority of Black women in the U.S., we've been put into a position of just being, sexual, just for a man's sexual pleasure. But if they're going to take a woman serious, that's why you see a lot of Black men, when they become successful, they're not marrying us. I mean, they do. Okay, let me say this. 80% of Black men are marrying Black women, even when they're successful. But there is a huge thing where a lot of Black men are going to other races. Why? And a lot of women don't understand. They say the man is racist. No, the culture that woman may have been brought up in, her submissiveness, in our culture, we're being rebellious, dressing provocative. It's standard. It is standard. We hate ourselves a lot. We hate our own hair. We want our butts to be the fattest. We pride ourselves on things of being bosses, having the fattest booty, being able to twerk the best, but not intrinsic values that is a wife. And to speak to Maggie, like we talk about like colorism in our culture, because I think race is not just race, but it's colorism within our own culture, where they prefer light skin, they prefer this, that, and the other. I tell you on God, an attitude like Maggie, a lot of men, like, regardless of anything, like, to me, there's such a peace and an aura about her that a lot of women can learn from, of every race, but particularly in the Black community, that's not standard model. Like who she is. Like if you come around Maggie, you just feel loved on. You feel like home. And so I think a lot of Black women can retain that. But if we're talking about race, we're talking about Black women. Let's just be honest about it. We're talking about Black women, not we who have the lowest marriage rates. We have the highest birth rates outside of marriage. Why is that? We have the highest number of abortions.
It's interesting because the Black, she's right. The Black race is what we're actually talking about. We cut all the other stuff out. Mm-hmm. It is coming for the white people, though. You know what I mean? We already see it now with white women, people of other ethnicities.
I mean, the Kardashians are showing white women how to be.
Yeah, they are. So they're they're part of it as well. But yeah, we are the ones that really set it off. Mm-hmm. All of this twerking and all this sexual kind of like behavior. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she is correct. Our standards are not that of most other ethnicities.
I remember I said that we did a video where I said that because a guy had wrote us and said that because I said that I'm a woman first and then I'm a Black woman, mm-hmm. and the Black guy wrote us and said, you are not a Black woman, your colors determined first. And I was like, yeah, but in society, I am a woman first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because when you're a Black woman first, this is what Black women are. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, when younger kids, younger girls, as they're getting older, mm-hmm. they start to see what it means to be a Black woman. They take on their mom's mm-hmm. attitude. They take on Cardi B's attitude, whatever pop culture mm-hmm. is showing. And they look at these women and they say, this is a black woman, and this is how I should be.
Right.
Sassy, smart alecky, not
That's
submissive,
cool.
boss bitches, you know what I mean? And so I wasn't raised with that type of mom.
Yeah.
My mother was really ladylike.
But she was reserved.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's because she was raised by a white woman, because my grandmother is white.
Yeah.
You know, her mom was white. You know what I mean? So she maybe took on some traits from submissive traits from my grandmother. You know what I mean? But I will say that, she's right.
She's right.
You know what I mean? And we say it all the time. Like you said, like we just had a thing where a girl called us a coon. A black woman calls us a coon. Because when you tell the truth and you're black, black people, a lot of black people just cannot handle the facts. You know what I mean? And this is what I worry about with younger girls, is that this whole baby mama culture and this no father in the home is going to, and this boss bitch, you can be, you know, all these high-powered black women, attitude is going to keep us alone and single forever.
It has kept us alone and single forever. Or at least a lot of us, or at the very, least it's made us learn late. Because we didn't get the, we didn't get the lessons in the earlier years. So many of us are single because of that reason, and because we learned the lessons late. Some will never learn the lesson. And behave like this in their 50s and 60s.
I do not believe in single motherhood.
I just don't like it, and I think
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Because it changes people, and it changes us for sure. You know what I mean?
She is right also when she talks about the, we celebrate and we promote a lot of that twerking, that sexual behavior, like she said, the boss bitch and all that stuff. Like we literally promote that,
and we've turned
and celebrate
it. And our womanhood has been hijacked by trying to turn men on.
So
our womanhood is in how we turn a man on,
right,
and not the feminine things that we're born with, the things that we just do naturally that God gave us. You know what I mean? We've changed it into how like she said, women with the biggest booties. We don't celebrate our hair, our natural hair that much.
True.
We don't celebrate the things that are nurturing, the things that we get just because we're women. It's been hijacked by these women that are out here showing a woman that you can be just like a man, and you cannot be just like a man. Men know how to be men. Women are not that way. And so I talk about that single mother rate in America. What she's saying is because it has changed us into a bunch of women nobody wants to be around or date. And our ego is so high at this point that we don't want to admit that.
Right. It's true.
We have the highest number of abortions. And our behavior and the culture we promote, if you look around the world, look at our rappers, look at the culture. Most men see us as sexual tools.
Do you agree with what she was saying?
Yeah, I do.
Do you agree with what
100%.
she's saying?
Yeah.
Do you agree with what she's saying?
Partly, but not everything.
Okay, do you agree with what she's saying?
I do.
What's the part that you don't agree with?
I think one that I don't know all those statistics, but I'm assuming you're talking from the US. When you talk about wife culture and wife mindset, Maggie's a wife in this room, but I'm thinking.
But she's rare. She's rare. Her attitude and what she is in the world. The U.S. has the highest numbers of children born out of wedlock, and the people who dominate that are black women. So this is worldwide.
So worldwide,
And single mother rate is
black women.
The single mother rate is
Black
high
women.
in the UK as well.
But it's black women who dominate that.
so but we're saying that we're not raised with this wife mindset.
No, we're not. We're not. And we can blame. There's a lot of reasons for it. It's not just because we're the worst or anything like that. It's not what I mean.
But I think that's what you have to break down, because if we're going to then speak to black women and say these things, you have to then come with reasonings, because there's so much. We already get the you are this, you are this, you are that. If we're then going to add to that ourselves, you have to be responsible to add a solution and a background.
But the solution is you have to take accountability. I don't care what your background is. We live in the most privileged society in the world. Even though the worst circumstance of a black woman today is nothing what it was 100 years ago. Especially if you want to talk about the U.S. slavery. I don't know how it was in the U.K. I mean, I do know it wasn't like it was in the U.S. But if one black woman made a choice Maggie made a choice that that was better than the next black woman, then you have a standard now that you need to live up to. And I think a lot of times we wanted to say, well, it's somebody's fault, it's the government, it's this, that. A lot of races, you look at the Jewish people and what they've gone through in society, it's a lot of the same atrocities. In fact, all of the Bible, all of the Israelites and the Hebrews were actual slaves. Like it was a known thing. And so what I'm saying is, if we have to take accountability. We want to keep pointing. Let's not point any more of what the government and what it is. What do black women need to change today? What are we promoting? Are you twerking? Are your friends twerking online? Are they showing their booty? Are they dressing for the streets? Are they thinking about serving a man? Most black women today, it is sacrilegious. It is almost insulting them to say serve a man a plate. It is like discombobulate them. It's almost they get aggressive and mad and call you a pick me for giving a man a plate, taking his plate. You want some more to drink? You want some more to eat?
We did a video about this too, where it was a pick me thing, and people
Call us pick me's.
Call this pick me's because we understand the patriarchy.
Because let me tell you, Danielle and I were raised by a single mom. You guys know that. You know what I mean? And people ask us all the time, why are you two single?
Yeah.
And the reason why I was
Number
single is
one
because
question.
and why don't you have kids? You know what I mean? And the reason why is because I was raised by a single mother. And I knew that what I was attracted to when I was in my 20s was I was attracted to something that I shouldn't be attracted to. You know what I mean? And that's a brainwashing because you're around a whole bunch of women. I was raised by single women. You know what I mean? And I was raised by single women and men who were mostly not like the what you call the patriarchal. I didn't have that in my life. My father left, he didn't come back. Our father left and he didn't come back. You know what I mean? So it took me a long time, and that's why I said we were losing, is what I keep saying, is we're losing our morals. And the thing is I did abstain from sex for a long time. I still am. And the reason why is because I do not want to have children by myself. It is selfish to have self-gratification and sleep around when you know that what comes out of you and what comes through you is going to have to deal with this world like I did. I already know. I had a front row seat. That was my life. I grew up with a mom that worked really hard and no father, no real patriarchal. Right. So why would I want a child to then be in my life, be with me? And me alone.
There's a lot of risk with what we've done, because what we did was we stopped dating altogether to figure out why we're with the wrong people. And when a
lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, when you do that though, what happens is that you're gonna get started late in life.
Yeah.
Because trying to understand your own psychological, what you're doing wrong, and then no longer pointing fingers and actually looking in the mirror and saying, hey, Danielle, like you're messing up. Why? You need to just stop seeing men and start figuring out what's going on, right? To do that, it's going to take some time when you've never known yourself. You know what I mean? And what ends up happening is you get older, and you don't have kids and stuff like that. So it happens, but I would much rather be where I'm at now than to have been, had kids earlier and be a single mother. Even our mother even told us, this is not an easy thing, don't do it.
Yeah, because I think that kids,
because truthful.
God made it so that both man and woman could come together and create a child, which means he meant for us to do it together.
Right.
He didn't mean for us to then, have a baby and then you just do it by yourself. He meant for us to have the masculine and feminine to raise a child. And I think that every child deserves a mother and a father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason why is because it turns women into these self-empowered jerks that aren't nice to men, like she said. You know what I mean? What is wrong with cooking for a man? What's wrong with being submissive?
What's wrong with that?
But the reason why these women think that is because they're having it forced down their throat all the time, that being a woman and staying at home and cooking and cleaning and taking care of a family is not good. It's better to go out and chase a check and try to be a CEO. You know what I mean? Try to be Beyonce.
By the way, that was the way of life up to about 5 minutes ago. That was the way we were before. We were the submissive women before, up until we started being boss bitches and stuff.
Right. And Larry Elder actually said on his show that, which I found very interesting. He showed the statistic. I wish I had it, but he said you were more likely to be in a household with your mother and father during slavery than you would today.
That's true.
Black people today the kids today are not being raised with both parents, but you were more likely to be raised with both parents during slavery, even with them selling off people.
Yep.
You were more likely, and our morals were bigger after Reconstruction when we started. That's why you didn't see it was literally flipped. I think like in the 20s, it was like 18% of black, and that was considered high.
Yeah.
18% of black mothers were single. Now it's 74%.
And you also got to take into account those single mothers where a lot of it was due to war and widowers and stuff. So, or widows.
Giving a man a plate, taking his plate. You want some more to drink? You want some more to eat? It's a pleasure. Megan and I were having a conversation like most black women don't know the joy, and I'm not blaming. Get what I'm saying? I'm saying this from a point of view that a lot of black women don't know the other side of this conversation. We're talking about, it is a joy to see a man light up. Like, what's for dinner? Like, excited about bringing the plate, and he's so satisfied. You think you have to be sexual to make a man so happy and want you. I'm going to tell you what, we come in, and I'm serving your man, I'm taking him. Like, he's gone. He's out of your life. Why? Because I'm coming in with wife features. I don't have to dress a certain way. I don't have to do certain. I don't have to twerk. We have been sexualized. And what you have to understand, the way we are behaving today in our mindsets, we want to blame the government, but you have to understand the mindsets we have today, the independent, sexualized ways that we are. You ought to be mad that's how you have to be, our culture has become, because it has been put upon us.
When I was in my 30s, when I hit 30, I was mad. I was mad at my father. I was mad at my mom and my father because I felt like when you start to realize, when you're a kid, you had a great childhood. You don't know any better. That's all you know. But when you get out into the world and it's time for you to now be a wife and a mother, I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to look for. But more importantly, I was submissive, but to the wrong men.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing was, I didn't know because my father wasn't there and because my mother didn't get married, I didn't know what a woman was supposed to be for a guy. I didn't. I didn't know what to look for because I didn't have that in my home. And so the thing is that what she's saying is a lot of girls are angry, but they really don't know why, because people, like I said, Beyonce, who gets married, has kids, and also is a CEO, it looks attainable to this little group of women.
Yeah.
Like Oprah, who doesn't want to get married and have kids. Do you really want to be her? You don't know the joy of what it feels like to serve a man a plate of food, like she said, and to take care of him, see him light up in happiness, walking out the door, feeling good about coming home. You know what I mean? Because all you think about is yourself, and living a life that's just selfish like that. It's not a good life.
Well, also,
you're meant to be.
You're also suppressing what it means to be a woman as well. I'm not saying that women are only to be, make baby making machines and cooks and cleaners and stuff like that. What I'm saying is that the essence of a woman is to make things more beautiful, is to nurture, is to serve. You know what I mean? And that's like the nature of a woman. And a lot of women now suppress that part of them, modern women, suppress that part of them because it's looked at now as weak. That, can you even believe it? That natural instinct to serve is now looked at as weak when it's not. It's just a natural instinct as a woman. We're not talking about, people go to the extreme with this. Oh, well, there's a misogynistic man, he's being abusive. No one even, you're going way too far over. We're talking about a normal, decent man that is in a patriarchal mind, and you're a normal, decent woman that is serving your husband. By the way, you are going to be complete as well, because guess what? When a man's happy, you're going to be happy. The whole household is. If your husband is happy, then everything's going to be fine. There is no happy wife, happy life. There's happy life if you guys are all doing the right things.
It's a relief to follow.
It is. It's supposed to be.
It's a relief. It takes the pressure off. Men are built for that. They're built to defend. They're built to provide. They're built to that's what they do.
That brings anxiety to us and stress
us. It does, and that's why so many single women are unbalanced and
mean.
rude. You know what I mean? And I was just saying, Ann Coulter was talking about the fact that she was talking to Jessica Peterson about women voting, and I've always said I don't really think women should vote. Especially if you're married, because you're voting as your values, and your husband is the lead, so there should be voting per family. You know what I mean? And single women vote for this, the Democratic Party. They're more than likely, white or black, they vote because they don't have a man. So they look for the government to stand up for them.
Right.
But if you have a man, this is why so many Republican women are married, because when you have a man, you don't need the government to do that because you
Right.
have a protector.
Right.
You have a man who's going to defend you.
Right.
You don't need the government to push women's rights and abortion because you don't need that because you're married. You don't need abortion if you're married.
No. Yeah.
And so things like that, you can't blame everything on. You do have to take a step back, and it may be like me and Danielle. You might have to. May take a while because you have to reprogram yourself. But let me tell you, being abstinent and not having sex really does change you mentally because it brings you back to peace and what you really are and not what you're trying to be.
A lot of women need to close their legs and get right mentally and stop twerking and doing all this nonsense out here. You're making your life worse and you're not happy. If you see any woman twerking, that woman's not happy no matter what she's telling you.
And they go, oh, men get to have sex more. Men are different than us.
No, that's
they
what I'm
think
saying.
about sex a lot more than we do because testosterone. I can never say that word. Testosterone. that is something that is uniquely built in them, and that's why they have those feelings like that. We don't. We have estrogen.
They can't be faulted.
But that also we also balance them because we're not so sexual.
Yeah.
That's it. Too many women are hypersexual. And they're hurting themselves. And that's what I'm saying. With Danielle and I, we just want to tell you guys the truth. We want you to be happy. We want you to get married. We want you to have kids. We want you to feel secure.
At a good age, too, by the way.
At a good age. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's the end for me, but what I am saying is that I'd rather go down having no kids.
Yeah.
And not ever being married than being someone's bed wench and not respecting myself.
And be a baby mama. I would much rather just do that way, but more than anything, I just don't want. I really want to promote for women out there, young women especially. Just you have to take your life, like you have to take accountability for the way you present in life, what you're putting out there in life. Like when you're out here being all sexual and dressing scantily, behaving, it's just you are just adding years to your life.
You are.
You're adding years and years, and then you're going to be 30 still twerking. I still see them twerking. You'll be 40 still doing that, and then you ain't got nobody.
I don't know why women think that they have to take their clothes off to be seen.
They do.
I don't promote that. I keep my clothes on.
Those
I don't.
men,
You know what I mean? Even if you don't get a lot of men liking you, the right ones will listen to you and they'll want to be around you. And those are the ones you want to date. And as for a lot of men, I hate to say it, even black men, they look at us and they think we're easy targets, like she said.
She's right.
Because we promote ourselves as this baby mama, I'm down for whatever type of thing, because we're trying to get equal to men. We are not men. We are not the same. We're not meant to be the same. We're not equal.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, my perception, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, but for me, it comes from a place of, let's talk about self-worth, and let's talk about how black girls and black women can increase our self-worth, and therefore you're coming from a place of help, because if you're talking about other cultures, the Jewish culture, any other cultures, they are a community, and they don't, I feel like it's only our culture that constantly talks bad about each other publicly.
It's true.
So publicly.
It's true.
So if we're going to have this conversation, you come from a place of how can we help each other and build each other up? Maggie kindly then spoke to this lady and said, can I just say, out of respect, next time, think like this. Next time, put the right things in order. And I think that was the most beneficial thing that she got from this conversation, rather than all the questions of how did this happen, and being accusatory. Come from a place that Maggie was saying, how do we help each other with building up our self-worth and kindness, and stop with the constant, well, we're this, because we are talking bad about ourselves.
We gotta be real though. But we have to be real. Right. We have to be real, lady.
Yeah. So she's wrong in that the fact is that this is what I had a problem with women being called queens. It's because whenever you act like a tramp, you still get called a queen. Whenever you act like a thug, you still get called a king.
No.
And this whole behavior of us always uplifting ourselves, black girl magic, has not helped us. What she's saying is being done, and it's not helping us.
Yeah.
This is why Danielle said earlier, this is why people didn't like Kevin Samuels.
Because he just told the truth.
He said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, so the way he spoke, almost in the culture we're at today, it's almost like the culture needed to hear it that way. What this woman's wanting is for all of us to do kids gloves, to start. You're affirmed, queen. You're doing. She wants to be called, talked to softly, women to be talked to, I'm like, no, honey, we are a mess right now. There is no soft talking. There's only tough love at this point.
But this is the thing. Black women want this soft tone, but we don't give what we want to receive. So we were talking about, but Maggie did, but look at most black women today. There's an aggression. There's a dominance. There is a thing. And I understand because most of us have been raised very masculine because we didn't have fathers in the home. Our mothers relied on us. Our mothers didn't teach us certain things. So we want what we're not giving out to the world. So you want the tone of Maggie, then be Maggie. Like no one's making us choose the things. Everyone comes from somewhere. My mother was raped at 14. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But no fault of her own. Her black mother kicked her out of her house. White nuns took her in. Okay, no fault of her own. She made a choice. She didn't talk to her family for nearly 7 years. She decided to go to college. She was going to make something herself. She went on, joined the Air Force, went to college, got her degree. The only person in her family, while the rest of them made different choices. Then she went on. I grew up in the Pentagon because of my mother. I had an internship in the White House because of my mother. Her circumstances were what they were, but she went on to make a different choice. So every time we say these things, and then she raised me the way she did to try to get me the results. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. She's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I think a lot of black women, especially Kevin Samuels, who was my mentor, a lot of black women are against him. He was one of my friends. He was my mentor. And so a lot of women got mad at his tone because they never had a father talk to them and discipline them. He sounded just like my father. So I was like home to me. Because I knew a man who loves you and loved black women, and that's what it was. That's what we were so harping on tone, and we want all this kindness, but are we giving it out? Most black women are extremely aggressive, extremely combative, aggressive, but when they say, well, you need to say it nicer, but are we giving out what we want to receive?
Maybe that's where it helps, though. If you give it, maybe it will be received, and it might just be soaked in and given right back.
And I don't say this to put our women down. I know the history of what we've gone through. This is more so we can have a conversation, be real with each other so that we as a community can get better results. If we're not real with each other.
1 second. And this is a thing that I always say with us is that, because people sometimes will say, especially women, that we're just saying negative things about women all the time, right? I'm not saying this stuff to be mean. We're saying this because we want to help the ones that are coming up, to not make the same mistakes. You do not give that message out all the time nicely. Sometimes that message has to come out very a tough love kind of, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to see black women acting the way they are. But the only way it's going to change is that other normal black women like this, like Melanie here, to talk, Candace Owens, these people to talk kind of normal, to then say the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a sermon the other day of Vodi Bakum, and he has it's on YouTube, but it's about biblical manhood. And I swear, it brought me to tears. Because he's talking about what happens when men are taking out what's happening. Because he was raised without a father. He was raised with his mother was 15 years old, and he was raised in Los Angeles without a dad, and he was raised by this single woman. And he, just like me and everybody else, I mean, Thomas Sowell was and Walter Williams were born to single mothers. And that was considered rare in their times. Right. You know what I mean? But the truth is that what I'm saying is that you do, like she said, you have to take responsibility. And you can't keep trying to get angry when someone's trying to help you. I appreciate because first of all, he's an older guy, he's in his 50s. And I think that, like she said, that hard, which if you have a father, that is how your dad would talk to you, by the way. You know what I mean? When you have hard truth, the only problem is that he's not their dad, and they're older, and they want to get rebellious, and so they get mad at him instead of really listening to him. And what he was trying to do was help you. But again, it's hard for women, not men. It's hard for women to hear the truth. You know what I mean? It is. And if you shut your mouth and you do hear the truth, believe me, it'll melt away some of that pain.
Better results. If we're not real with each other, especially the older women talking to younger women. I want every woman in this room to win. I have no competition with you. A lot of your mothers are in competition with you. Trust me. Okay? They don't want you to win. They didn't raise you to be a wife because they didn't understand. They did the best of what they knew. And so it's not a point of putting you down. It's not a point of breaking you down, but saying, listen, we need to learn from Jewish culture. We need to learn some Latin culture.
Yeah, you guys, I know this. I've seen her. I'm glad you guys even recommended her. Because I do follow her. I forgot her name was Melanie.
I've never seen her.
You ever seen her?
I've never seen her.
Yeah. So they've told us about her before. I do like her. Like she said, she's not perfect. Whatever in her life, we're not perfect. But the one thing that we can do is at least as Black women, try to tell the truth. I think she might be in her 40s. I know she has kids. I think she was previously married and all that. I think she's divorced. I don't know her exact story, but the least that we can do as Black women is tell the truth and to call out the ridiculousness going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, I was watching, and this is something I was pleasantly surprised because I love to watch conservative men talk. But Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum has a panel sometimes, and I think this last time he had Jericho Green, Greg Foreman from the Black conservative perspective, and he had Chattel Jackson who did Uncle Tom, and Bryson Gray, he's a rapper, he's a conservative rapper, and they talked about the red pill. Men in the red pill, and it was the first time like I was happy to see like Black men who aren't just always using words like, oh, you hit a wall. They were actually wanted to talk in depth about marriage, because I think Jericho and him are both married, and then I think Greg is single, and Chattel Jackson was also married. And I think Bryson's engaged.
He's getting married.
And so he was just saying a lot of the red pill.
All these Black men with marriages is nice.
And it's nice. You know what I mean? And what they were saying, they're millennials. And so what he was saying is that, and him and Jericho said that a lot, and Bryson actually said, a lot of the men in red pill communities are just angry men who are just hating on women instead of not looking at themselves a lot of times. And this is the reason why we don't talk about men in that way, because I think that it comes better from men. But it makes me, but I'm going to talk about women the way they talk about men. Because it does take people to talk to who it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat this with women. You know what I mean? I have a birthday coming up. You know what I mean? And look, I want to see girls get married. I would have loved to get married when I was right out of high school at 18, but I was just confused. I didn't have the example. And that's just the truth. My mother could do the best she could do, but she didn't have it to give me.
Well, I was engaged to be married at 19. And because I didn't understand men, and I was in that kind of masculine mindset, and he wasn't, he's kind of the family guy, I kind of chickened out on it. You know what I mean? And he moved forward and got married for 20-something years now, you know, with kids and stuff like that. So it just, but this is what I'm trying to say. I want people to be able to learn the lesson early and maybe understand like the mistakes that we made. And then just help younger women. You know what I mean?
I just want to help you.
It's not the end of the world for women our age, but I'm just saying that it's so much better to get this lesson early. It really is. I can tell you that I'm about to be 46 pretty soon. As a 46-year-old to-be woman, like I can tell you that the earlier that you get this message, the better for you. It just is, period. There is no woman out here, and she's lying. As she says it, but there's no woman out here that wants to be single with, you know, no children. I know that's, you know, an option, but single at the age of 35. 30, really.
Yeah. I mean,
most women want to already be taken and off the market at 30. Most women. I would say I promise all of them. So when you start reaching that 35, 40, 45, you know, like that, you're starting to get a little, women start to get a little bit upset, and they get bitter and angry. That's how you see angry women now. Right. They get angry.
And by the way, a lot of Black men who do have their life together, they do tend to date outside their race, because those women are raised with different values.
Submissive values.
And because of single motherhood, Black women aren't. They're just so tough and angry and frustrated. I see it all the time.
But you guys, let us know what you think. Leave some comments below, and tell us what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And that's it. We'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.